Okay, thank you. Okay, members, we're now in public session, so just to remind you that we're being broadcast online and throughout Parliament buildings, and so just welcome to those members of the public in the gallery and watching online. And if you could just remember to have your mobile phones muted, and that no photography or recording of the meeting is allowed. So members, if we're agreed, I will proceed with the agenda. So we have apologies from Claire Sugden. Members, many of you will be aware that Claire announced recently that she had been taken very ill, and thanked the health service for the care and support she'd received off the back of that, and I think we would all like to extend our best wishes to a speedy recovery. Have we contacted her formally as a committee?
I have contacted her just to ask whether there was any information she wanted to feed in terms of the bill. At this point, I think she is sort of formally away from work, so that isn't happening. But yes, okay. The committee could write to her if it wishes, if I'm happy with that.
Okay. Go ahead, please.
I think that would be good to...
Carol would like to come in as well.
The Chair, write as committee and wish her well in her recovery.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, please, Carol.
That's all I wanted to say. If we could just write to her, wish her well.
Okay, thank you, Carol. Okay, thank you. Okay, members, item 2 then, declarations of interest. If any members got any they'd like to declare in relation to this meeting? No. Okay. Okay, thank you. So, chairperson's business. So, just to inform members that I think it was last week I advised that I was travelling to Cardiff at the end of the month for the Interparliamentary Forum, just to advise that that has now been cancelled, and it will be rescheduled at a later date, but that hasn't been confirmed yet. Okay, so members, I raised this issue previously, and it was in relation to the research into historical clerical child sexual abuse, and the meeting between the First and Deputy First Minister and the Chair of the Interdepartmental Working Group. You'll recall we received a response back confirming that that meeting has now taken place. I think that the events of the last week have possibly brought this into stronger focus. Again, something I raised at the time was that my understanding was that the research had indicated that there were 10 recommendations for the Executive Office to consider. 9 out of 10 of those were in relation to safeguarding recommendations for religious institutions, and I just wonder if we could write back to the Executive Office to ask them for an understanding what's happening with those actions in terms of taking them forward. I know it's not TEO strictly, I know health has a role to play in safeguarding, but I think we should be trying to pursue what is happening with those recommendations. Members content?
Grand.
Okay, thank you.
I think just given the current situation with regard to Presbyterian Church, this is important because they're all encompassing recommendations at the end of the day. So, yeah.
Deputy Chair. Okay, so just to seek your agreement formally then, to write to the Department to seek a timeline for the process going forward and the outcomes recommendation and that the outcomes and recommendations of the process are shared with the committee. We agreed? Okay, so members, you will have received correspondence from Jerry McCann from the Rosetta Trust outlining 2 areas of concern. Sorry, have you shared it? Has it been shared yet?
No, we haven't shared it yet.
We can possibly share it after the meeting.
We will, yes.
So it was in relation to the wording for the memorial to historical institutional abuse victims and survivors that has been that will be installed in the coming months in the Great Hall and Parliament buildings. So there was a version of the wording that was agreed as far as Mr McCann was concerned in relation to this, and it included the words failed by the state. So then a further and a supposed final version then was provided to victims and survivors that had removed the words the state, and it now read failed by those who had a duty to protect them. So members who were in the chamber on the 10th of November will recall that the Deputy First Minister indicated that this wording had been signed off and things were moving forward. So Mr McCann, on behalf of Rosetta Trust, has tried to engage with the Executive Office to find out who took the decision to remove the words the state, and why the people who were involved in the steering group, the victims and survivors groups, why they weren't advised that the words the state was removed. So are members content that we write to the Executive Office just to find out what happened there with those words? And if you can share just the correspondence, Mr McCann. Okay.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I think that was Oh, sorry, there was just one other item today. I had a conversation with, and I just want to say it now before the meeting runs away with it. So I had a conversation today with a lady in relation to the Mother and Baby Institutions Bill, who is in receipt of support through the specialist services through WAVE that is funded through VSS, through the Executive Office. And some services now, because the institution or the nursing home that she was born into is not on the list of relevant institutions, so she is no longer eligible for some of the services through WAVE that were allocated for this. It was a very emotive conversation, and I wasn't clear on all of the details, but she did say that these have been so helpful to her as an individual to sort of cope with what she's been through. So I think if members are in agreement, we'll write to just clarify how people can access these special services, specifically in relation to mother and baby institutions, and if any changes have been introduced as a result of what's drafted in the bill, and we can possibly take it from there.
But surely if this isn't law,
I know, well,
well,
not to break too much of her confidence,
No,
but there was a lady from WAVE who supported her when making that call to me, so she was in the room, and it was all.
I'd seek clarity, but
yeah. So we can seek clarity. So there was certainly somebody from WAVE who was there with her providing support. So.
Chair, does that then highlight the issue that we have been discussing in the bill about naming institutions?
Yep.
Okay.
Carol, do you want to come in on this item, please?
Not this item, Paula. Just want to come in on the end of session report.
Okay. Well, we'll move on, members. If everybody's content, we'll issue this piece of correspondence. Item 4, draft minutes. Members, you'll find these for our meeting of the 12th of November on pages 7 to 20 of your pack. And if you're content that these are true reflection, I'll go ahead and sign them. Okay, content. Okay, so matters arising then. So just to advise that the clerk is meeting with the Chief Executive, Maze Longcash Development Corporation this coming Friday. I think last week we'd hoped that it would take place for today.
Yes. And
that a draft letter to the First and Deputy First Minister will be tabled for next week's meeting. So that's just for noting. Okay, so we're moving on then to item 6, end of session report. And members, I'm going to refer you to page 23 of your pack for the clerk's brief and pages 24 to 29 for the actual end of session report from February 2024 to July 2025. Members, this is for us to consider. It outlines the activities the committee has undertaken during that period, the cost the committee has incurred during that period as outlined in the report. And I'll go to you now, Carol, if you want to raise an issue in relation to the report. Thank you.
So I appreciate that, Chair. I think on page 14, when you look at the expenditure, I think even just in terms of committee travel, there's quite a number, or there's quite a figure there, £8,583. I think we need further detail on the breakdown of that.
problem. I can provide that.
And the inquiry into gaps in equality, I think it would be helpful just to say that it's not concluded, because we're not finished yet. So that figure will certainly go up, but even just in that bracket there, just for consistency. Thank you.
Problem. I can make those changes.
Okay, any other changes? Go ahead, please.
just wanted to check. So, did we get clarity in the end of whether there was ever formal agreement to do the inquiry into the equality gap report?
Yes, on the back of the last meeting, I have asked for a written note on that, which I will chase up because we haven't actually had that back. But yes, nothing has changed from there. So as far as I'm concerned, procedurally it is sound. But I will get that note for next week's meeting. That's no problem.
Okay, anybody else got any other questions or queries in relation to the session report? Do you want to give just a wee bit of background as to why? And
So the session reports are something that, thanks Chair, are something that used to happen regularly in committees pre-COVID, really, and then CLG, which is the chairperson's liaison group, so all of the chairs together made a decision that they were just going to pause those. One, for the fact that committee work had been curtailed during the COVID period, and then of course there have been a number of times when the Assembly hasn't been fully functioning over the last number of years. However, earlier this year CLG made a decision that it wanted to bring those back, and so although normally they wouldn't go from the beginning of a mandate to now, that's obviously we got the decision earlier in the year to do that, so that's why this one goes from February 24 to July 25. The next one would be from September 25 to June 26. So that's why this has suddenly appeared now, something that CLG decided to do. What I can do is, Chair, I can get some more costs, get some more breakdown of the cost of expenditure that Carol brought up, and also just provide that extra line of clarity on the inquiry, and perhaps bring that back to next week's meeting, if that's
okay.
If that's okay.
Are we content?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So
We'll just.
do we need to go through that? Okay.
No,
so
I'll bring that back to next week.
Okay, so we don't need to go through. Okay, no problem. Okay. Okay, members, so I'm going to seek your agreement now to go into closed session for the next item. It's on the deliberation of the inquiry, Mother and Baby Institutions, Magdalene, Laundries and Workhouses and Redress Scheme Bill. Okay, thank you.
Committee Room 21. Sound.
Everybody? Okay. Well, so we've just finished our closed session to start the proper deliberations on the clauses. I think today was very helpful for people to just be putting forward some suggestions and queries, and then the departmental officials come in and we put some of those to them. I don't think we took any decisions today, not even in terms of any additional legal advice or anything like that. It was really just an initial exploration of the evidence we've received, what that means in terms of the wording of clauses. So nothing really to report at this point in terms of where we're at. But
we continue next week.
We continue next week. Okay, so thank you everybody. We just want to move on then to item. Sorry, does anybody want to say anything on that?
No, Chair, thank you. Summarised well.
Okay, correspondence then, members. So moving on, I'm going to refer you to pages 608 to 612 of the pack for a summary of committee correspondence. Draw your attention to a number of items. So 11.6, Committee for Finance, Reserve Claim Redress Scheme. So I'm going to refer you to pages 613 to 614 of the pack. So the committee has received correspondence from the Committee for Finance regarding potential reserve claims associated with the redress scheme for those affected by Mother and Baby Institutions, Magdalene, Laundries and Workhouses, and just to advise that the redress scheme will not be established in the current financial year. So just to seek your agreement to note this item and to forward the correspondence to the Department for a response. Agreed? Okay, so I'm going to refer you to pages 613 to 616 of your pack. So the committee has received 3 items of correspondence from the Finance Committee in relation to the Administrative and Financial Provisions Bill. The first item and second are regarding clauses 6 to 10 of the bill, which are relevant to the committee. There is a copy of the correspondence from the Committee for Finance TO requesting an oral briefing from TO officials to attend their committee in relation to clauses 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 14. So just to advise that the department responded on clauses 7, 9 and 10 of the bill and child rights screening process, which was included in last week's meeting pack. So I'm just going to seek your agreement to note these items of correspondence and agree for the committee team to chase up a response from the DALO in relation to clauses 6, 8, 9 and 14. Agreed? Okay, so moving on then. So pages 698 to 699 of your pack. So the committee has received correspondence from the Finance Committee regarding a review of arm's length bodies. So just to advise that the Department of Finance commenced a new exercise with the departments in September 2025 to assess the status of departments' reviews, their conclusions and the priority current ministers are giving to ALB reform, and anticipates completion of this exercise in early 2026. So just to seek your agreement to note this item of correspondence and to write to the department to ask if an assessment of TO ALBs has been completed, and if so, if a copy of this assessment could be shared with the committee. Okay, great. So just to advise that you may wish to note the following items of correspondence. I'm going to ask the clerk to read them into the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Items 8.6 to 8.7 is the 49th and 50th report of the Examiner of Statutory Rules from the Assembly's Legal Services, and there are no rules for the attention of this committee. 8.9 is a departmental news release of the launch of the recruitment competition for the Police Ombudsman of Northern Ireland. 11.12 is departmental annual report and financial statements for the Commissioner for Survivors of Institutional Childhood Abuse, or COSICA as we know them, for the year ending 31st of March 2025. And just for members to note, this report was laid before the Assembly on the 11th of November this year. Item 8.10, Committee for Justice, is just correspondence in relation, ongoing correspondence in relation to an individual. Item 8.12 is a response from the PSNI to the committee's correspondence from October 2025 requesting further information on the PSNI's communication strategy and their associated costs in relation to its investigation into mother and baby institutions, Magdalene, Laundries and Workhouses from 1922 to 1990, and that was following their evidence session to the committee. 8.13 is the annual report and accounts for the NI Judicial Appointments Commission 2023-2024. This was laid before the Assembly on the 12th of November this year. 8.14 is from the department and is the annual report of the Victims Payment Board for the year ending 31st of March 2024, and this was laid before the Assembly on the 13th of November this year. 8.15 and 8.15 to 8.18 correspondence from the First Minister and Deputy First Minister on the North-South Ministerial Council institutional and plenary meetings held on the 17th of October 2025, and this was an oral statement to the Assembly, and a copy of the statement can be found at page 35 of the table pack if members are interested. 8.16 correspondence from the Committee for Finance regarding the role of the Department of Finance with respect to the conduct and impartiality of members of the Northern Ireland Civil Service and the appropriate use of Northern Ireland Civil Service resources by executive ministers. And finally, 8.17, Committee for Finance, the revised 2025-2026 outturn and forecast outturn guidance. And I think Timothy has his hand up for something.
Thank you. Timothy, go ahead, please.
Yeah, just quickly, 8.12 regarding the PSNI communication about mother and baby institutions. Just looking at the geographical spread there and some of the countries listed. Can we as a committee look to see if we have contacts for people in some of the countries listed? And if not, is there any way that we could work with the police to try and get our message out there regarding what the committee's doing and coming forward to the inquiry in future? I'm just looking at some of the countries, and it should be quite easy for us to pinpoint, have we contacts for people in them countries, or have people from them countries contacted us? And if not, I'm wondering, would the PSNI have any way of passing along the information to encourage them to get in contact with us?
In the first instance, we can liaise with our colleagues in comms who did a very extensive sort of communications piece when we were doing our call for evidence on the inquiry, and they have detailed lists of geographical areas, cities, places that were reached by the committee. We can do a cross-section with that and see if there are any then that weren't reached by the committee, and then perhaps go back to the PSNI and ask them for further information on that. That's no problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, no problem. So anybody else want to talk about any piece of correspondence? Okay, so moving on then, draft forward work programme. I'm just going to refer you to pages 972 to 974 of your pack for the updated forward work programme, and I'm going to ask the Assistant Clerk to talk through the changes for this programme. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. So it's just to reinforce, obviously, members' agreements earlier that we agreed to move the Equality Commission from the 3rd of December to the 28th of January. And that we are also going to hold 2 additional meetings in relation to the bill on week commencing the 5th of January.
Okay.
And they'll be scheduled accordingly.
Okay, we agreed with those. Yep.
Normal time for those committees, the additional ones?
We'll just need to check the Tuesday the 6th with Business Committee just to make sure that that doesn't clash in terms of timings.
Okay.
And then once we can do that, we can look at scheduling those and getting those out to members.
We should be able to get that back to you for next week.
Yeah.
Business committee is usually only about 10 minutes, so a lot of people, it's just not right in the middle of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, any other business members? No. Okay, so date time of next meeting is next Wednesday, 26th of November, 2 p.m. in this room 21. The meeting's adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.